good morning. How are you doing coping with lockdown? After this one, you might think it's starting to get to me. What we're going to do is going to do something a wee bit different. We're just going to look at one verse in Isaiah chapter 7, that's verse 20, and we're going to look at some various translations of it. This one, I don't think this will really be spiritually uplifting. It might just give you a wee bit of insight into Bible translations. And for those of you who know me, you might be shocked to hear that in this verse, the Message actually gives the best translation. And I also have some favourable things to say about the Passion Version. For those of you who don't know me, I normally advise strict theological isolation with regard to the Message and the Passion Translation. So let's just look at what a few versions say about Isaiah 7 verse 20. Let's start with the King James. In the same day shall the Lord shave with a razor that is hired, namely by them beyond the river, by the king of Assyria, the head and the hair of the feet, and it shall also consume the beard. Well, there you go. And our natural reaction would be, what's all this shaving the hair of the feet and consuming the beard? Now, just wait a minute. Let's now read the ESV. In that day the Lord will shave with a razor that is hired beyond the river, with the king of Assyria, the head, the hair of the feet, and it will sweep away the beard also. So, virtually the same thing. Obviously the language is a little bit different, but it's virtually identical. Now let's come to the NIV. This is the latest version. Earlier versions of the NIV have a slightly different translation. In that day the Lord will use a razor hired from the Euphrates River, the king of Assyria. So far, exactly the same as the previous two versions said. To shave your head and private parts, and to cut off your beard also. Whoa, where did that bit come from? To shave your private parts? Now let's go to the Message. And that's when the master will take the razor rent from across the Euphrates, the king of Assyria no less, and shave the hair off your heads and genitals, leaving you ashamed, exposed and denuded. And he'll shave off your beards while he's at it. So, things got a wee bit different with the NIV and the Message. So what's happening here? Well, let's go to the Passion Translation. In that day the Lord will take his razor, the hired king of Assyria, from beyond the Euphrates, and he will shave your head, your legs, and also your beard, leaving you ashamed and exposed. Oh, that seems, well, it's not got feet, it's got legs in there. And if you look at other translations, the vast majority of them will be like the Passion, referring to the hair of your legs or the hair of your feet, like the ESV and King James had. But in the Passion Translation, there's a useful footnote where it says, or the hair of the feet. In ancient times, the feet were used euphemistically for genitalia. The hair of the head points to the king of Ahaz, the legs is soldiers, and so on. So all this, we can we can see where the messages come from, and what effectively the NIV is now doing as well. The actual text in the Hebrew would be talking about the hair of the feet. But if we talk about the hair of the feet, it doesn't mean a thing. It doesn't mean anything at all. And as the Passion Translation footnote says, this was used as a euphemism for your private parts. So what the Message has done is put that directly into the text that it gives. So in this case, in that part, the Message is actually probably the more accurate translation. Because if you read the ESV or the King James, And you just wonder, what's it on about? There, the message has brought it out. But also, before I say too many favourable things about the message, which goes very much against my conscience, it does add stuff. It says, leaving you shamed, exposed and denuded. Now, that is not in the text. That is more of an explanatory note. And what you should do with the message, if you must read it, is treat it as a sermon. I.e., go and look at more, how shall I put it, reputable, literal translations of the Bible. We're going to speak slightly in favour of the message, or in mitigation for the message. Straightforward literal translations of the Bible do not always actually translate what it says. And in virtually every version there will be some interpretation of the words which are in there. So I hope that just gives you a wee bit of insight into how Bible translations come about, why they differ. And one other point, there are quite a number of places in the Bible, particularly in the Old Testament, where the translations that we have are to some degree sanitized. And the actual text, whether in Hebrew or sometimes in the Greek, is much more close to the bone, shall we say. Okay, that's enough for today. I'll do more spiritually enlightening and uplifting. Well, maybe not a bit, it might be uplifting. We talk in Isaiah chapter 7 in a day or two's time.